Okay, so have you ever, stopped and thought about, how much of your info is actually out there online?
Oh yeah, all the time.
It's kind of creepy, right? To think about someone having all your personal details.
Definitely. And that's what makes this whole DOGEQUEST thing so unsettling. It really brings that fear to life.
Yeah. DOGEQUEST. It's basically this website that was sharing personal info of Tesla owners.
And it's not just a hypothetical threat anymore. It's real people's data being put out there.
Right. And to get a handle on this whole thing, we've been looking at a bunch of different stuff, news articles mainly.
Yeah, those are crucial for understanding the timeline and the facts.
And we also found this super interesting Reddit thread where people were talking about it.
Those online discussions are great for gauging public reaction. You get to see what people are thinking and feeling in real time.
Exactly. So our mission in this deep dive is to figure out 3 things.
Okay, shoot.
First, what exactly was DOGEQUEST? Second, why did it even pop up?
And third, what does it all mean?
Exactly. What are the implications for Tesla owners? For online privacy in general. For everyone, really.
Yeah, huge questions.
So let's start with the basics. What was DOGEQUEST?
Okay, so from what we've gathered, it was this anonymous website.
Anonymous, yeah, that's already a red flag.
Totally. And get this, it claimed its purpose was to empower creative expressions of protest.
Empower creative expressions of protest. What does that even mean?
Right. It sounds so vague and almost ironic considering what it was actually doing.
Because they were basically saying they're this, hub for Department of Government Effectiveness enthusiasts, right?
Like a community for DOGE fans, which is already kind of a weird concept.
Totally. And then they say they want to connect these like-minded Tesla owners with each other. How do they do it? By sharing their contact information.
Exactly. Names, addresses, phone numbers, emails, the whole shebang.
So not exactly the way you'd expect a fan club to operate.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. And they apparently had this map of the U.S. on the site with a search function.
So you could literally look up Tesla owners in your area and get all their personal details.
That's what it seems like. Pretty scary stuff.
And hold on, it wasn't just Tesla owners, right? They targeted other people too.
You're right. They also listed locations of Tesla dealerships and charging stations.
Okay, so that kind of makes sense in a twisted way if you're trying to target Tesla as a company.
Yeah, but then it gets weirder.
Uh-huh.
They also had the addresses of people who worked for Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency.
DOGE, his whole government thing.
Right, so they were going after individuals directly, not just the company.
It's like they were trying to intimidate people.
It definitely gives off that vibe, and then you have all these little details that add to the creepiness.
Like what?
Well, they were using a picture of a Molotov cocktail as the cursor on the website.
A Molotov cocktail? Seriously?
Yeah, and the Doge meme at the favicon. It's this weird mix of internet humor and something that feels really threatening.
It's like they're trying to be edgy, but it just comes across as disturbing.
And then you have this statement on the site. DOGEQUEST does not endorse nor condemn any actions.
Oh, I saw that too. They're trying to distance themselves from any responsibility.
Exactly. But then they also suggest that people use the No Trace project.
Which, if you don't know, is basically a guide on how to avoid leaving evidence behind.
Yeah. So it's like they're saying, hey, we're not telling you to do anything illegal, but if you were going to do something, here's how to not get caught.
It's also shady and manipulative. And remember, they said they'd remove your information if you sent them proof that you've sold your Tesla.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. It's almost like they're trying to pressure people into getting rid of their Teslas.
Like a weird ultimatum.
Right. Give up your Tesla and we'll leave you alone. Super messed up.
Okay, so we've got a pretty good picture of what this DOGEQUEST thing was claiming to be and the kind of information it was putting out there.
Right. But the big question is, how accurate was all that information?
Yeah. Were they actually getting people's real details, or was it a bunch of bogus data?
Well, from what we've seen, it seems like the accuracy was a bit iffy.
Iffy meaning?
Meaning, not everything can be verified. For example, 404 Media, they did some digging and found that some of the dealership locations were wrong.
So it wasn't a perfect database by any means.
No, definitely not. And that's actually somewhat reassuring.
Yeah, at least it means they didn't have access to some super secret, accurate list of every Tesla owner.
Right. It was probably cobbled together from different sources, some of which were outdated or just plain wrong.
Okay, that's good to know. But even if some of the info is wrong, it still could have caused a lot of trouble.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
People seeing their name and address on that site, even if it's not their current address, would still freak out.
For sure. And what about the website itself? How long was it actually up and running?
It seems like it had a pretty short lifespan.
Like a few days.
Yeah, something like that.
Mm.
One ex-user actually analyzed the domain information and said it went live around Monday, March 17th.
And they were using a VPN, so their location was masked.
Right, a VPN basically makes it harder to trace where the website is actually hosted.
That's smart, sneaky.
Definitely. And this ex-user figured out that the VPN host was in Canada.
Canada, interesting.
Yeah, and the first people to report on DOGEQUEST were 404 Media. They broke the story.
Good for them.
Yeah, so it seems like the site was taken down sometime after like 2 a.m. on March 18th.
So less than 24 hours later.
But then it was reportedly back up on the morning of the 19th before disappearing again.
So it was like this on-again, off-again thing.
Exactly, a very short and unpredictable online presence.
But even in that short time, it obviously caused a lot of chaos.
Yeah, no doubt.
Which brings us to the big question, why? Why would someone create this website in the first place?
Well, if we look at the bigger picture, it seems like the motives are pretty tied to all the protests against Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE.
Yeah, DOGE, and the whole thing with him and the government.
Right. And remember that line on the website about spray painting Teslas?
Something about unleashing your artistic flair.
Yeah, exactly. If you're on the hunt for a Tesla, to unleash your artistic flair with a spray, could just step outside, no map needed. It's like a direct nod to the vandalism.
It's like they're encouraging people to go out and vandalize Teslas.
And it speaks to this growing resentment towards Musk and DOGE. Like, people are really angry about whatever he's doing.
Yeah, our sources mentioned hundreds of protests happening across the country outside government offices and Tesla showrooms.
Hundreds since February. That's a lot.
It's a serious movement, and it's not all peaceful either.
Yeah, unfortunately, there have been reports of actual vandalism against Tesla vehicles.
Like people keying cars or slashing tires.
That kind of stuff. But there was also this targeted attack at a Tesla collision center in Las Vegas.
I read about that. It sounded pretty intense.
Yeah, 5 vehicles were damaged, and they spray-painted resist on the building.
And didn't they use Molotov cocktails, too?
That's what some reports said. And there were also reports of someone dressed in all black, possibly carrying a weapon.
It sounds less like a protest and more like a planned attack.
Definitely. And that's the context we need to understand when we look at the reactions to DOGEQUEST.
Because people were not happy.
Oh, yeah. The reactions were strong, especially from Elon Musk himself.
He went off right.
He did. He responded to a tweet about the website and called it extreme domestic terrorism.
Wow, strong words.
And he wasn't the only one using that kind of language.
Yeah.
Attorney General Pam Bondi, she said something similar.
What did she say?
She said that the vandalism inspired by anti-Musk sentiment was nothing short of domestic terrorism.
So basically they're saying that attacking Tesla is the same as terrorism.
It's a very specific framing of the situation, and it is President Trump. He had previously said he would consider labeling those who commit violence against Tesla as domestic terrorists.
So it's not just Musk and his supporters. It's coming from high levels of government, too.
Exactly. And then Musk went on Fox News and specifically called out Democrats for the vandalism.
So he's making it a political issue.
Very much so. It's no longer just about vandalism or even doxing. It's become part of a larger political fight.
Okay, so that's one side of the story. What about the Tesla owners themselves? How did they react?
Well, there was this one Tesla owner on X who posted a really powerful message. They basically said that they held those responsible for the doxing accountable for any harm that might come to them or their family.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah, and they specifically mentioned having children at home. Like they're genuinely afraid for their safety.
And you can't blame them. Imagine having your address posted online for anyone to see.
It's a terrifying thought.
What about the rest of the internet? What were people saying on Reddit and stuff?
A lot of people were calling it terrorism.
Yeah.
Echoing what Musk and the others were saying. Some even compared it to a Nazis list.
A Nazis list? That's a pretty extreme comparison.
Yeah, but it shows how seriously people were taking this. Even those who were critical of Musk agreed that doxing individuals was going too far.
So it wasn't just a bunch of Tesla fanboys defending their idol.
No, it seemed like there was a general consensus that targeting people's personal information is wrong, no matter what your political stance is.
Okay, good to know. And what about law enforcement? Have they gotten involved in all this?
They have. The FBI is reportedly investigating the data leak and looking into possible legal action.
So this isn't just some online drama anymore. It could have real legal consequences.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the whole ethical and legal side of things. This DOGEQUEST thing raises a lot of questions.
So many questions, like where did they even get this data from? Was it legal to share it? What are the implications for the people whose information was exposed?
Yeah, and what about Tesla as a company? Do they have any responsibility to protect their customers' privacy?
Those are all valid concerns. And the biggest one is obviously the privacy and security of the Tesla owners.
Right. They didn't ask to be part of this whole mess.
Now, the legal side of doxing is a bit tricky. It's not always explicitly illegal under U.S. federal law.
So that's a gray area.
Kind of, but it can quickly lead to other actions that are illegal, like harassment, stalking threats, invasion of privacy.
So even if posting the information itself isn't illegal, the consequences of that posting can be.
Exactly. And then there's the whole intimidation factor.
Like that Tesla owner we talked about who was worried about their family's safety.
Right. That's a very real and understandable fear. And it's not just about individuals either. This whole thing could hurt Tesla's image.
Yeah, who wants to buy a car from a company that can't even protect its customers' data?
Exactly. And that's something that came up in the Reddit discussion too. Like, what's Tesla's responsibility in all of this?
Right. Are they just supposed to sit back and do nothing while their customers are being targeted?
It's a tough question. And someone on Reddit made a really good point. They said that a lot of Tesla owners probably bought their cars before all this drama with Musk started.
Meaning they weren't necessarily signing up for this political battle.
Exactly. They might have just wanted a cool electric car, and now they're caught in the crossfire.
So it's not fair to assume that every Tesla owner is a diehard Musk supporter who agrees with everything he says.
Right. They're just people who bought a product.
Okay, so let's take a step back and try to summarize everything we've learned about DOGEQUEST.
All right.
We have this website that pops up out of nowhere and starts sharing personal info of Tesla owners and others connected to Elon Musk.
And it's all happening against this backdrop of growing anti-Musk protests and vandalism.
The website claims it's just trying to facilitate protest, but it feels more like they're trying to incite violence.
Yeah, the whole Molotov cocktail cursor thing really doesn't help their case.
And even though the accuracy of the data is questionable, the fear and anger it generated were very real.
And it prompted a lot of strong reactions from Musk, from the government, and from the Tesla owners themselves.
So even though the website is down for now, there are still so many unanswered questions.
Like, who was behind it? How did they get the data? What were they really trying to achieve?
It's a real mystery.
And it really makes you think about the bigger picture, doesn't it? Like how personal data is becoming weaponized in these political and social battles.
Yeah, it's a scary thought. Like anyone could become a target just for owning a certain product or expressing a certain opinion.
Exactly. And it raises all these questions about online privacy, about the limits of free speech, about the responsibility of companies to protect their customers.
It's a whole lot to unpack.
It really is. And it's something we all need to be thinking about because this isn't just a one-time thing.
Yeah, it feels like the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder what other ways our data might be used against us in the future.
That's a thought to leave you with. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.